And recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor Kim Harrison Edwards, Councilwoman Sherry Rogers. Here. Councilman Randy Bowen. Councilwoman Debbie Gup. Here. Councilman Herb Curtis. City Manager Nate Stansberry. Here. City Attorney Brian Bailey.
Here. Finance
Director Susie Johnston. Chief Mike Posey. Chief Jimmy Settle. Building Code Zoning Enforcement Officer Marty Lewis.
Present.
Street Commissioner Mike Starrett.
Here.
Sanitary Director D. Evans.
Do we have any public comment? Okay. Old business review and confirm updates to city code.
And this is what we did last week. I think there are situations that needed, I think, readdressing. So that's kind of what I want to focus on today. Nothing, no new chapters to look at, if you will. I guess starting on page 4. I just added a little blurb. This chapter is dealing with police officers, municipal police, civil service, and whatnot. And there in red, I'll just put a little blurb that if our rules conflict with state code, we're going to abide by the state code.
Very good, makes sense. Thank you.
And I think we're going to have the next one is. I didn't get a chance to re-look at the thing. Page 7, there was a cross out that I forgot to clear up. On section 35.35.
Because they're no longer elected, yes, okay.
36.01. The state code indicates that there's disasters, not the right word, emergency situation type incidents that include, the code lists various situations: terrorism, enemy attack, sabotage, hostile action, fire, flood, earthquake, other natural causes, or other man-made causes. And that red terrorism and red or other man-made causes, just me adding those additional situations to our.
And other man-made causes is in the state code. What is that?
Some catch-all for best I could tell, some catch-all for things humans tend to try to do to each other.
Okay. Or crash.
Yeah.
Something like that. Bad accident. Yeah, that's a good one.
That same stuff carried over to 36.02 A. And then these other on page 8, the other ones in red are just me kind of adding another little bit of clarity, I guess, to the situation. We're allowed to, particularly in A2, 36.02 A2, we're allowed to render mutual aid to other cities or political subdivisions.
Don't we have a separate mutual aid agreement for that? Too?
I think we probably do. And in section B, the word plans. The state code deals with all this emergency civil defense type stuff. Habitually uses the phrase, "and the city shall have the power to make a plan so long as it conforms to the state plan." And so we generally have to conform to that, and that's why I put the word plan. And with federal agencies and authorities, if the situation requires. Again, just another catch-all to give us the authority to deal with federal agencies if need be. On page 9. Most of this stuff is just Just me trying to do a catch-all like the or other applicable provisions of the West Virginia Code. That's just a safety net, or if somebody one day opens up and 15-5-8 isn't what it is today, we have the authority to cite other provisions of the state code to deal with that issue. Does that make any sense? West Virginia, and then they're under 36.03. That's just a citation in the West Virginia Code that deal with public. Now I think it's public safety. Is the title of the chapter. State code gives responsible gives like the city, state code directs the city to create a civil defense organization. And the general direction and control of that civil defense organization is it's either under the power of the executive officer or the city council. And in our prior codes, it looks like that general power was given to the council, not necessarily to the executive officer. Now, who the executive officer is, that the mayor? I think so. But in my readings of it, I put or city manager just as a placeholder type deal. I don't necessarily think that the city manager is necessarily have general direction to control the civil defense organization.
Should he be on the civil defense
Now,
council?
now we're getting to the
That's-
next, now
okay.
we're getting to the next section. We can discuss that. Should have been an addendum there. 36.05, as I was trying to clean it up in the actual body of this paper, got kind of messy. So I scratched it all out and gave a proposed 36.0.
Okay,
Now this proposed 36.05, in my opinion, mirrors the state code better than what the 36.05 was here in the big packet that's currently in our that we're currently using in our 1972. And to answer your question, Sherry, I think I think you sit here and read there's a defense council, which consists of a director and then 5 other members. And you all can pick whoever you want to be director or whoever you all want to be on the council.
well, I would think from the name of the organization that we should have an executive number on there. It should be the city manager and also the chief of police.
And that's something, I don't think there's
And-
anything wrong with any of that.
And this may involve the code enforcement officer and the street commissioner.
I think we need the fire chief on it.
I agree. I agree.
So more or less your department head.
Yes.
Are we looking inside here or outside? I mean, of our people that would our department heads already be part of our technical? I mean, is this engaging outside along with our inside, or is this?
And I think I know what you're asking. Is there something, let's pretend we don't put a department head on any of this council. Are there duties that these people, the department heads are doing, going to be doing?
Yeah, all right, that's what I'm asking, like, do we?
I mean, I think when this council, whoever you put on this civil defense council comes out with the plan. Okay, boys, when the town catches fire, here's the plan, X, Y, and Z. I think X, Y, and Z incorporates the streets and the fire department and the police department.
Well, these people are ultimately going to be responsible for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if these people are already engaged, like in fighting whatever's going on, do we need other people to organize and control?
And I think I want to say that's a political question for you all to decide. There's no limit on who you can. put on it.
Right, you may have a citizen at large that's more qualified than any of us for a position on that.
But you understand what I'm saying? If our people are responding to,
Yeah, I think
what, are we gonna have anybody?
other places, you've had that there's the headquarters, right, when there's an incident happening. And
the mayor's sitting up there with the phone right in front of them and they're getting calls and they're saying, oh my gosh, we got a tree down over here. We need to send these guys out here. That, somebody in that executive forum is doing that. They're not, it's not, yeah. Police and fire ultimately report to those guys.
I think that's who the director would be.
During the sense,
Kind of managing where the asset, where the stuff's going to be.
I don't think you want this. Right. Are these 5 during an incident? Are they sitting in HQ making decisions or is it?
I mean, I think
they've
I think
hired
the
the
director,
director?
I think the director is.
That's what I was afraid. I don't want to, when they need to be out, and so
Yeah,
they did.
I don't think you want the fire chief or everybody on the board.
Yeah, that's,
That's technically not a question we need to answer per se
Right. now.
today.
Okay,
I think as far as who's making the call, that's something we need to think about a little bit. And I'll be the first one, if I can stay home during a snowstorm, I would love to stay home during a snowstorm. But I was sitting there thinking about the last week, I said, you know, if the mayor necessarily becomes the person who's calling the shots, the city manager isn't in that, you may run into some kind of employment thing, right? Where it's like, well, I don't necessarily report to the city manager, but I think in a time of crisis, the mayor should be there in some form of capacity, and maybe even, you know, being the one person calling the shots, but maybe it's something where, you know, the city manager makes a recommendation and the mayor makes a decision when the city manager carries it out or something stupid like that. Like, you know,
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we're sitting here in this emergency situation. Okay, we now jump across this line into emergency. You all still have the power to make whatever policy you want to set. You
I
can-
understand that, but I see the Civil Defense Council as a resource
It is.
to.
I think you have the general direction and control of that board.
Right,
When you, I think when you all want the board to put down 5 sandbags, you all come in and vote, put down 5 sandbags, and if they don't.
I think one of this is to not have to vote, decide.
Right.
You want somebody to make bang, bang, bang decisions, aren't you?
What I'm saying, when you don't like what they're deciding, or you think the treatment of the emergency is going the wrong direction, you can take the executive director off the job. It's like, are you able to do that in one swift vote? I think so. When you have this emergency, the rulemaking powers are lax a little bit. You don't have to like go through steps to procure stuff. You can, if somebody's got a $5,000 generator, you can go buy it right then and there, not
right.
have to go through the hoops or anything like that.
Okay,
That's what I propose 36.05 to be changed.
I think it looks good.
And whoever the director is. In turn, if we would ever want to get into. Not necessarily a mutual aid agreement, but an like what they call a regional organization. That director becomes I guess, a member from Weston in that regional organization.
Okay.
In there at the bottom of page 10, I just change some words to make the language meet the language of the law, the language of state code.
These members of this board have to be different political parties.
3 of them can only be in the same political party.
You have to change some more party affiliations.
State law is kind of vague. It says you have to have a director, so there's 1 and 5 other members. And then you could have other members as may be required. So you can have 10. Then the next sentence is of the 5 members of council, 3 have to be a different political party. So are they limiting you to 5 members? I would argue no. I just think it's not worded very well. I think 5's plenty. It's still up to you all some days. You never know what disaster is coming down the pike, and it's kind of hard. You got to think broadly about this. Do you want 5? You want 1? I mean, you have to have 5. You want 5? You want 9? You want 14? How many cooks do you need in the kitchen?
Right.
Well, and I guess it's kind of depends on the plan, right? Because these guys are gonna develop a plan. But if there's an incident, these people don't necessarily need to be there during the incident, do they?
Not necessarily. I think that's what the directors.
Yeah, that person popping into
Charge.
action.
Go to the 911
That's
center.
where we're on it. Or if there's no 911 center because of catastrophes with flooding coming uphill.
Nice one, I'm pumping water tank.
Now we're gonna say. Yeah. Stay with the plan.
I think 36.07, I scratched all that out, because I think that gets encompassed by the proposed 36.05.
Yes.
I think the rest of that looks good. That's good. Rest of the page.
Now I think we're getting into these little additions that kind of broaden our ability to cooperate. I think that was the, you read the state code stuff, it's, yeah, yes, cities, you can have your civil defense or emergencies plans and whatnot, but number one, they have to conform to state plan. Number two, if they kind of persuade you to get into regional organizations to cooperate with each other. That's how I read it. Or generally cooperate with anybody that can about help, to be honest with you. I'm on page 14. How does that in state of emergency?
Sure.
Temple 37. Now 37.03, I think we were having some questions last week about taking guns or being able to prohibit or regulate what firearms or whatnot. And there's West Virginia code, it's that chapter 15. It has various different sections, and one of the sections is governor's powers during a state of emergency or something like that. And one of it lists all these different things the governor can or can't do, or no, can do. And then the last little bit, it says, oh, by the way, the governor cannot violate provisions in 15-5-19. One of the provisions is just generally prohibit, regulate, or otherwise kind of improperly deal with the lawful possession of firearms. Now, that's what 37.03A originally tried to prohibit or regulate, was the possession of firearms. Which to me, if the governor can't do it, then we can't do it.
Right.
And so I think you can put the word unlawful before the word possession, and you're having some kind of ground to
Sure.
go deal with somebody who's unlawfully possessing or using or whatever a firearm. Is that gonna cause heartburn to somebody somewhere down the road? Probably. I mean, anytime you start trying to go after Second Amendment type stuff, any Bill of Rights type stuff, it gets lawyers are smart people. They can find some way to make some kind of argument that your Second Amendment has been violated or your First Amendment has been violated or whatever. Is it going to hold up that we're prohibiting or regulating unlawful possession? Maybe. I mean, there's regulations for unlawful possession of weapons. However, but you just can't. I mean, you have to buy gun permits or whatnot in certain places to own weapons. And so I don't necessarily think unlawful is hurtful in this, putting the word unlawful in there is not hurt anything. It's just gonna be one of those things that, hey, we're gonna be in an emergency situation. What's gonna be worse, the emergency going and keeping up, or going in there and whoever's having the firearm, take it away from them, get that emergency situation out of the way, and then deal with the fallout of constitutionality after that.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's a thought process. It's the right thought process. You don't know until you get hauled in court and stand there and have the judge say, "Look, you all violated that guy's rights."
I think we're good. That's why you pay attorneys.
And then prohibiting or selling the alcohol, prohibiting or regulating buying of beer or alcohol or whatnot. Governor can do it. So I think it's one of those situations where we always joke around and saying, gosh, that's what we need most.
Yeah.
During a situation like this, sometimes it can get people too fired up and too out of control. I'm indifferent about it, to be honest with you.
I don't know that we need to regulate alcohol.
Well, you get, let's say, put yourself in a rat situation. Yeah, one of the places targeted the most were the liquor stores, people breaking, looting there. I think you probably want some ability to say, close the liquor store down, we don't want.
For their safety.
Yeah, not buying and selling stuff, everybody can have. Or, you might have property owners say, this is the best time I'll ever have business, but it attracts the wrong. You can't, the rest of it walk in the liquor store if it's open.
Different culture.
Yeah, sure.
It is. I'm good with it.
I say, I mean, if you're gonna pin me down, I say leave me there.
Mayor, be very careful.
Stop
Use
that.
that power to just-
Stop.
Call me before you do that.
Get my killed. Not one.
Back here at 37, back there under section C. Without the red language, to me, that's a blanket. First Amendment challenge. I'm out here exercising my right
Yeah.
and you're throwing me out. Well, I don't think you can just blanketly throw somebody off the street if they're demonstrating per se. But if there's some kind of objective measurement as to they're interfering with the cleanup efforts or the efforts to combat the emergency.
I think it looks good the way you explained it.
I do too.
Page 16. G, H, I, J, and K, the format's not very good, because I'm not very good at formatting, but all that stuff is powers the mayor or the governor has, that I've just transposed down onto the mayor.
Okay.
What's that K? What's the prohibitions? Look at that, 515-19.
That's the, you can't regulate lawful possession of weapons, or lawful possession of firearms. Now, caveat is, we can regulate them in a municipal building. But just to walk down the street and say, oh, Billy Bob, you got a gun there on your porch, I gotta take that away from you. Yeah.
Okay.
Page 17, that authority of governor to declare martial law, that's just a citation. To the code to kind of support what we're doing. But I think up in there, I think the mayor can call down the governor and say, hey, we need martial law. Then the end of the emergency period. I don't think we have a situation right now currently, obviously, but we may get a mayor that says, by golly, we're in a state of emergency, there's not going to be ever be an end to it. Unless council votes majority to overrule that. So it's kind of a check on their authority. Do the most of it, to be honest with you.
23, which 23 would be the next.
$39 included. I think they forgot, I think the American Legion forgot to add in business privilege and great sales to their chapter.
Okay.
That's why I put that in there. Again, this is something I didn't touch very much, other than to make those,
Randy on
other than to make those kind of typo type changes. And I think there was a discussion or.
Hello, everybody. I'm here.
that. Hi, Randy.
I think there was some kind of general discussion about exemption to B and O. And I kind of got into that a little bit last night and then Friday. There's nothing in the state code that specifically says, hey, cities, you can't exempt this, or that. There's a broad sentence that says, hey, anything that was exempt in the state B&O code on July 1st, 1987, cities, you can't, cities, you have to exempt that. So, I'm making something up. If I don't know, gas stations were exempt from B&O tax in 1987, and they still have to be exempt in 2022.
More or less to grandfather it.
Now, as far as what you can or can't do with your exemptions in the city, I haven't found anything that specifically puts any limit on it, other than, hey, whatever was exempt prior to 1987, you have to keep exempt. And I'm trying to look for a 1987 code, state code, but I haven't been able to find it. You can see what those exemptions were. And I think there was a discussion about yard sales.
Yeah.
And I looked at Huntington, and I think they called it a rummage sale. And I think the rummage sale was, Huntington outlaws a rummage sale. This is a matter of having one, but you can go get a permit for a rummage sale and have a rummage sale. Which to me, it seemed more like a attempt to get, I'm making a number up. The $10 rummage sale fee.
Right.
You get that $10 up front as opposed to having to try to keep track of every nickel and dime every little kid gave you at the yard sale to try to figure out how much you made at that yard sale. I don't know if that was a scheme or not. But I still think if we want to get into a big deep dive on the B&O stuff, I think that's a whole different thing altogether than trying to find all the typos and updates to what state law is in various things. I think that's all I got for tonight.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
But I'll have something ready for you.
So on the fairs and festivals, we're allowed to, like, the firemen and the Miracle in May, we can do the.
I'm about 70% sure that you can exempt whatever you want to exempt.
Sure, okay.
Now, I tried to look at other cities to see what exemptions they had, and I think it was Charleston. It was either Charleston or Charlestown. Just cited that language from, I want to get nerdy on it, Western Code 8-13-5 or whatever it was. That here's your exemption. They have to be in cahoots with whatever was happening before 1987 in the state code. But other than that, I think you're free to exempt whatever you want to exempt. And make sure that before we start professing to people who don't have exemption.
Well, I think they should be. It's hard enough to get vendors here. It truly is.
My only thought with it is, do you make it you gotta come to council every time you want an exemption for an event? Kind of thing, so it's, one
It'd be like a
exemption.
parade, it'd be like a
Right.
parade.
Well, they do because of the streets too.
Right.
Anyways, so,
Just make it that way you kind of, don't give it a blanket exemption, like waiter kicks you in the butt or something like that, you didn't catch something. It's a one-time exemption.
With the date.
I understand, yeah,
Finally thought.
because like I said, they have to come to council anyways,
Mm.
because they took those streets or.
If it's somebody thinks you treated them unfairly, right, then it's. The council is treating people differently, right? If you want to voice that concern, come to a council meeting and say, I don't think like, hey, you're giving these people exemptions. That's business wise.
Right.
Thank you again, Brian. City manager update.
Well, my mind's pretty full. I don't have a whole lot to add today. The farmer's market thing still is 50-50. This point be my guess for that, whether it'll be them decided yet. Those are conversations to have there.
I had a thought on that, because you said that they don't like grass because of mud. We don't really have that issue in the property, if they wanted to set up and have their farmer's market in conjunction with the summer concert series. It might benefit both events.
I think at that point, I think they're pretty solid on Saturday mornings. So then you gotta decide whether you want your concert series on Saturday mornings. I think.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was. Several years ago, they had the farmer's market on Saturday mornings, but they also had a weeknight evening
Okay.
after work. Yeah, I didn't know if they still did that or not.
I think so, but
Okay,
it's all kind of back and forth with them.
Right.
1 minute they're over here, 1 minute they're over there. And that's nothing against them. If it's, they're trying to flush things out.
What about the parking lot over here where we have the fireman's festival? Park it off for that morning like we.
I'm open to it all. It's just, I think at this point, it's their decision to make.
I
Right?
mean, that's
Sure.
a place that doesn't have grass. It's
Yeah.
a road that's easy to block off.
They were worried you can't see it from the, they want to be somewhere close to the main travelway. Which I
Whatever.
agree. I agree, but that's,
well, they were also looking at the municipal parking lot, right? And,
Yeah.
That's just right.
yeah,
Mary, you want to talk about the Riverfront project?
We think we're still in the running for the federal earmark,
My opinion is there is no more running. I think we're either.
that we definitely have it. It looks that way. And I got an email today. So, and it said that we should be expecting one from HUD very soon. So.
congratulations.
Well, I'm excited. We have a phone call from, the guy from Ascent.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try to get a date where we can both meet with him, and that's probably one of the things we'll talk to him about.
That's the program that encourages folks to move and relocate to West Virginia. And gives them, is that what it is? No.
No, this is the,
Contractor.
yeah. in
Oh,
Clarksburg.
Okay,
Lacey Pratt
yes,
gave him our information.
oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
That's
working,
really about all I have.
we're working to get a bid out for painting on
Oh,
city
good,
building. This will be advertised in paper this week. So
okay,
we should have that for you guys in February if the bids come in reasonable.
okay.
We got a quote, it was astronomical. Just.
I'm sure. I'm
Never
sure,
imagined it'd be that much, but again. We've got some money reserved, right, for elevator and we had some for painting, and I think painting takes the cake for getting done first.
Yeah, we check with the painters and
This is one of their contacts that we got a quotation from. I think. It may be good, it may be bad, I don't know, but we've got a whole list that we'll send this out to, but we just got one here to kind of give us a ballpark.
did we check
Idea.
with Enzo Sanchez?
We haven't, no.
And I gave his number to,
Jason, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's coming. We're meeting with Conservation District on Wednesday, talk about a wind track. Then I think that's pretty much it at this point.
Just saying, I'm filling out some grant
Oh, yeah.
paperwork. It we went ahead and ordered and they took their sample Saturday. For the building across the street here at 210 North River for the asbestos. And
Okay,
I went through and changed some of the dates and wording and stuff on our bid pack for that to get it ready to send out here in the next few days. I sent all the paperwork to SHPO to get it through the historic stuff today. That'll probably take a couple, 3 weeks to get back from them. And I'm working on the grant. I've got the grant application. Hopefully we can come up with enough money through that to handle the demolition of that.
Our friend with that one grant application we sent in where they're talking about Bath, West Virginia and all that stuff. They reached out to us.
I got that information Friday.
That's a
what's
separate,
the approximate cost?
I'm guessing it'd probably be $100,000 to tear that down. Suppose I was just
We can.
off the top of my head.
well, that's this grant program here, they wanted to target 3 structures. They had a limited fund of money. When we talked to them before, it was like around $100,000 they had or something like that per entity. So what we thought we'd do, Marty's working on the bids, because that grant application is due March 1st, so we think we can get this bid out, have all of our stuff done, and make our application really strong and say, hey, all we need is the money, we're ready to go. And hopefully that comes in a reasonable amount that will fit in that program.
Even if we can get one out of 3 buildings out,
Yeah.
enough to do that.
That'd be a big one to get that big.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But we're gonna target that.
Did we ever get any response from them?
From the owner,
He actually refused our certified letters and stuff, so.
non-response response.
Well, thank you. I think that, Kirk's gonna be thrilled with that progress. I think everybody will be,
it
and
probably-
especially Ember Arts. I mean, their business has really taken off and it would just be, it's just a shame.
It won't be overnight, you know how grants.
Sure.
Take a little bit of time.
Sure, yeah. But that's
I think I-
progress.
Yeah, I think the dates I put on the bid package, that we'd like to be able to open the bids on March the 1st at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. And then they could be awarded at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Which wouldn't be too far out.
Sure, thank you.
I think we need to request a short executive sessions, discuss litigation though too. From today,
Yes,
I moved to go into executive session.
Second,
it's been moved to second.
any litigation, yeah,
Litigation.
sanitary board, city west.
All in favor, say aye.
hi.
Opposed, motion carried.
Randy, we're gonna call you and put you on speakerphone. Thank you today.
I can hear you.
Well,
Well, we got a
I
block.
can hear you.
we're gonna call you and put you on speakerphone.
I can hear you.
motion to exit executive session. I say move.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry. I'll let you second the next one. I'll let you second on this.
You can move to adjourn, Randy.
Okay, all right.
Next meeting date first.
You all want to try to tackle one on, when's our next regular session, the sixth?
We need to meet the 30th, one way or the other.
Okay.
Hey, I'm on email password from this guy.
Oh. Yep. I'll get that tomorrow to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the 30th, we're meeting at 6.
Whatever pleasure time you all want.
Okay,
Midnight? Oh, great.
is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Overachiever.
I guess that's you, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for getting a hold of me. I wish I'd have been with that.